Would you pray with me, please? Oh God, may the words of my mouth, the meditations of all of our hearts be pleasing to you this day that we offer to you. For you are our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. So the world is a hurting place. You have the picture on the front of the bulletin. This heart that's looks like it could fall apart any moment, right? All those cracks and crevices. And isn't that life? Even when things are going well, we still have those seams, those scars from times when things haven't been going well. They're there. It's a part of us. This story about Noah and the rainbow has been meaningful for followers of Christ for a long time, certainly meaningful to the Jewish people for all of their years. Something about that covenant, that agreement that God made, that the world would never again be destroyed by a flood, but more so that we are meant to live in relationship with each other, with relationship with the planet. And yet we find in this day, perhaps no more than any other day, or perhaps so, a place where the world is hurting. The planet itself is crying. And we know that the people are as well. There is suffering that we see every week. For people who we think have had too much already, and yet more comes. And so we wonder, how will we get to the place where we can feel, know that we are loved beyond measure? In the rainbow, we have a sign, a symbol. Even in my stole, it certainly has become a sign and a symbol, the rainbow and all of its colors, for us as a reconciling congregation and for all of the hurting people in the United Methodist Church right now, certainly in the world. The hurt is there. How do we, in the midst of the hurt, seek and share the Christ for healing and hope in the world? That is our calling. That is what we do as the church, right? We offer that love. Some 30 years ago, I think, when Mike and I first moved to Denver, it will be 30 years this spring, this May and June. We moved to Denver to go to seminary together, which was crazy in and of itself. We rented a U-Haul, packed it where there wasn't an inch of space that could have fit one more thing. And it was one of those U-Hauls that has the little cupboard up on the top. It's not just a flat bed truck. It's got, what did they call that, like grandma's attic or something? When we were unloading that U-Haul, I was on the ladder and I was making this move. Here's the box from the ladder. Here's the box, down. Over and over and over and over again. Till my back went into spasms. We knew nobody in town. I didn't know a good physical therapist or even a massage therapist. We knew nobody. And I was in excruciating pain, which lasted for quite some time. I remember laying on the floor in the living room, flat on my back. My mother was there visiting and helping with our children because they were very young. She put everything away in my kitchen cupboards, and to this day, I swear there were things I've never found because of where she put them. As we started attending the church where Mike would serve as Director of Christian Education, we would go to worship, and they have a beautiful stained glass window, and I'd go into the sanctuary and sit and take my place and have my children and cry. Week after week after week. I would head into that sanctuary on a Sunday morning and cry. I was hurting, suffering, and I didn't even know it. But there was something in that space for me that offered me sanctuary, offered me the covenant that I would come to believe that I would never be alone, offered me a place of refuge. So I'd like for now for you to listen to a song, a favorite.
Will you be my refuge, my haven in the storm? Will you keep the embers warm when my fire's all but gone? Will you remember and bring me sprigs of rosemary? Be my sanctuary till I can carry on, carry on, carry on. This one knocked me to the ground, this one dropped me to my knees. I should have seen it coming, but it surprised me. Will you be my refuge, my haven in the storm? Will you keep the embers warm when my fire's all but gone? Will you remember and bring me sprigs of rosemary? Be my sanctuary till I can carry on, carry on, carry on. In a state of true believers, on streets called us and them, it's gonna take some time till the world feels safe again. Will you be my refuge, my haven in the storm? Will you keep the embers warm when my fire's all but gone? Will you remember and bring me sprigs of rosemary? Be my sanctuary till I can carry on, carry on, carry on. You can rest here in Brown Chapel or with a circle of friends, a quiet grove of trees or between two bookends. Will you be my refuge, my haven in the storm? Will you keep the embers warm when my fire's all but gone? Will you remember and bring me sprigs of rosemary? Be my sanctuary till I can carry on, carry on, carry on, carry on.
Seek, and ye shall find. This is you as the church. Do I get at least 3 to 5 articles every single day telling me that the church is dead? Not this church, although we have our own issues. You'll hear more about that next weekend. That the church is dying, that it's become irrelevant, that it's obsolete. And yet, there you were, right there, offering love in the way that God invites, offering shelter and refuge and sanctuary to a world that is hurting. Our friends, our families, our children and grandchildren need to know this. Need to know that this is what God offers. This unbelievable care. This unfathomable love. In a way that just as I sat in that sanctuary on 7th in Colorado for an entire summer with tears in my eyes, not knowing what my suffering was, but there was refuge. There was a relationship with that covenant, with a loving God that called me and called me and called me and calls each of us. We are loved beyond measure. And we have that for the world. Many of you are places of refuge for the people around you. Foster parents, adoptive parents, taking care of grandchildren. Maybe sanctuary for animals who have been harmed. Or maybe you tend to the earth in the sacred ways that we are invited to care for responsibly, the way that you shop, the way that you dispose of things. All of this and more are a part of this covenant. This big picture rainbow thing, it's nice. Oh, but it's so much more. So much more. People are seeking refuge every day. We see oftentimes, and the reports on the news tell us this, and makes it very true, they're buffering from life. They're heading to pills and drugs and alcohol, and sometimes excessive diets and exercise, and sometimes shopping addictions, whatever it may be. The world wants this answer and doesn't even know it. And so we'll be going through in the weeks ahead these questions, of which you will have more answers than I will. Our country, our world, needs the refuge, needs the place that for the most part they don't even know what they're missing. And yet here we are with the unfathomable love of God through Christ. Seek and ye shall find. Be still and know that I am God. And so here we are, with all of those broken hearts in each one of your hands, offering to another, your friends, your family, your children, strangers on the street, a way and a place to have refuge, to have that protection that comes with that covenant, comes with that rainbow. That is for you to offer the world. May you do so with a deep faith and an understanding that it is for you as well. Amen.